Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Kronenberger, and I graduated from Carroll in 2011. I am one of many Kronenbergers in my family that went to Carroll. I had my dad in the 80s. I had 6 cousins come before me. I had my brother and sister come after me, and a couple of cousins that came after me as well. I don't think some of you might have been here when my brother was here. He graduated in 2022.
What's his name?
Aiden.
Oh, Tater?
Yep, that's I can't say little brother because he's about here, but yeah, that's my baby brother, is Aiden. And as most of you know, what he does for the soccer team, my sister did, and I also did. I was actually with the team when they won state in 08, 10, 11, and 12. So I work for the news. I actually live in Memphis now. I started at the Dayton Daily News first, and then I made my way to Memphis because it's very hard to get full-time in the news industry unless you have some type of experience. I don't know if you guys are familiar, if you guys watch the news at all, but there was something that major just happened in the city of Memphis in the last couple of years. There was a young man who was beat to death by 5 Memphis police officers who kind of went rogue. And we just had the federal trial. They're facing 3 different trials: federal criminal trial, state criminal trial, and then federal civil trial. So we made a video that aired. I want to just kind of start it off with this to show you a little bit of what we do.
We got 1 man up there running.
And I saw my son. He was already gone. They had beat him to a pulp.
Release the tape! Release the tape! Release the tape! Release the tape!
What I saw in the video today was horrific.
They beat him to death.
No justice! No peace! Let's go! No justice! No peace!
Memphis Police Department releasing the video of Tyree Nichols.
Watch out! I'm gonna baton the out you. He the is!
This group completely ignored policy, procedure.
But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often.
A grand jury indicted the 5 fired cops this morning.
There's good legal reasons for the federal trial to go first.
The 3 defendants have pleaded not guilty. 2 other officers have pled guilty to those federal charges.
I'm just trying to go home! The fact that his last words were calling out for his mom. Mom! Mom!
They need to be held accountable along with everyone else that has something to do with my son's murder.
So anytime we have major things go on in the city of Memphis, this is kind of a setup of how we set up the news. We set it up because we want to draw your attention. Now I'm going to play a video. It's about 10 minutes long. I can talk about what I do for the news all day long, but there are multiple different parts to the news industry than what a lot of people realize. My job specifically is to find the news. So my job, I sit at a desk, I listen to dispatch scanners. So I listen to Memphis Fire, Memphis Police, the county fire department, and the sheriff's office. Now, when you are in the news industry as long as I have, you learn to tune out the dispatch scanners to a point until you hear like keywords like shooting. That's when I crank it up and I'm taking notes. That way I can email police, send my crews out to where the shooting is, and especially with me working, I'm at work at 3 a.m., so especially working very early, I have to make sure my crews are also safe where they're going.
Good morning, Memphis at 9:30 starts right now. I'm really glad you're with us. I'm Valerie Calhoun. It's Friday Eve.
Yeah, I'm Ernie Freeman. We're at 9:31 on this Thursday morning, the 28th of March, and Brittany DeBose is over in Severe Weather Center 13.
Good Morning Memphis is a 5.5-hour broadcast based on what's happening right now and news you need to know before you head out the door. It takes a team of people working hours in advance to make this happen. Producers, editors, digital content producers, assignment desk staffers, directors, people to work graphics, the audio board, teleprompter, even studio cameras, reporters, photographers, meteorologists, and anchors. It takes a village. Producer Maggie Latham explains her job and why she comes into work so early.
So my day starts dark and early. I come in at 1 in the morning before everybody else is here. And our jobs as producers is to make sure the show is completely prepared when everybody walks in the door as best as we can. So overnight, we're looking for new stories, we're looking for new content, we're looking for follow-ups from the day before, making sure that when people wake up in the morning, they're prepared as they head out the door. So as a producer, I'm writing the stories, preparing the stories, showcasing the stories, making sure that our show has a good flow, making sure that we're on top of every top story, we're not missing anything, so that when the anchors come in, we're able to collaborate and work with the anchors and reporters to make sure the show is the best it can be when we go on air at 4:30.
Of course, television requires video, a whole lot of it. We have 2 editors pulling footage from our photographers, Fox and CNN, and affiliate stations from around the country.
I like to give it that little bit of flair.
Producers work closely with video editors to create opens and special videos, like the one commemorating the somber anniversary of Eliza Fletcher's kidnapping.
Liza was a breath of fresh air.
Positively identified the body was, in fact, Eliza Fletcher.
People should be able to run at 4:30 in the morning without having to fear being murdered.
And it's a story that's grabbed the attention all over the world.
It's terrifying having to carry around pepper spray and knives and stuff, and you just want to run.
Finishing Liza's run, the Memphis mother and teacher abducted on her morning run.
She was hard not to love.
We all just feel like we can't run alone, and we shouldn't feel that way.
Anyone should be able to run at any time of day and feel completely safe.
People continue to try to understand why something like this happened.
It takes guts to be a runner. It takes guts to run alone.
Hundreds and hundreds of people hit the streets to honor the woman who was kidnapped on her run.
So my hope is that every year we're able to finish Liza's run.
Showcasing my show and having a lot of elements in my show. I'm able to listen to like all of the raw sound from all the interviews before yesterday, or if they got an interview for GMM, I'm able to look at it, clip it, and I'm able to add showcasing to it by listening to like the raw material. Creating like my cold opens and seeing what the reporter stories is on to make just, you know, a more modern newscast.
Editor Olivia Creighton is one of 2 people who work behind the scenes to bring you that video and the stories that stick with you.
I'll put together a special video, and it usually will take about a week to do, and those are always really fun. I look forward to doing those. They're stressful, but they're fun to do because I get to be super creative and just put my own twist on the video.
This is all happening while you're asleep. Digital content lead Emily Kronenberger explains why preparing for the news day starts so early.
I get here at 3 a.m. Monday through Friday and start my day with checking with my overnight photographer on any scenes that he might have went to overnight. Then I will call Memphis Police Dispatch to see, you know, what they responded to, what time they responded. That way the show producers for Good Morning Memphis can use that info with whatever video the photographer shot. Next thing, I start to dig for stories for our morning reporters. Or for the show in general.
At 4 a.m., it's time for the morning meeting. This is when the whole crew gets together to talk about what's happening, the stories of the day, the weather, and how many crews we have to work with. It's a time to share input and story ideas.
Mid-60s back in upper 70s this weekend.
Ben Hogan is the executive producer and runs the meeting.
I mean, there's always decisions to be made every single day, every hour, and it's not necessarily just with crews. It's also like, is that story going in the newscast? Does that actually fit what we're trying to do in the mornings? Does that fit the crime filter? Does that help the viewer get prepared for the day? Is this just nothing? It's just taking every story and determining whether or not that actually fits in the newscast, and also where does it fit in the newscast? And it's just, we got to make sure that we have everything correct as well. So it's just...
Weather, of course, is the most important part of your morning. You want to know how to dress and whether you need the umbrella, the parka, or shorts, or all three. Fox 13 Good Morning Memphis has a team of meteorologists working to break down the forecast and any upcoming weather threats or weekend weather. Meteorologist Julia Fife does double duty with traffic updates throughout the morning.
My day starts, we go to the morning meeting, and then me and Brittany come up with our team weather, whatever we're going to be doing for that day, and then I come in here, look at all the accidents, make my graphics for team weather, and I do about 2 hits of traffic every 30 minutes and 1 hit of weather.
After the meeting, it's go time.
And that is when I start to assign live views, which is the unit that our photographers and reporters go live from in the field. I tell them what IFBs they're on, which is like the phone number that they call into to talk to the producers during the show. We figure out where they're going live from, always making sure that they are safe and feel safe where they're going live from. And I send them whatever information they need for their stories for the day.
Directors block the show.
So that entails getting with the producer, getting ready to block the show, figuring out what animations, how the show's going to be laid out, if we're going to have boxes, what the open's going to look like, what weather and traffic will look like as we prepare for the day.
Photographers load up. Reporters and anchors tweak scripts and prepare for on-air with hair and makeup. Crews head out the door. The photographers set up the shots, test the mics, and make sure the signal is clear. Reporters assess the scene, get information, and prepare to deliver the news you need to know. And of course, things change constantly.
We have a reporter, we have a crew at a scene, and then another scene breaks. Do we move one reporter into that one? Do we stick with what we have? Could end up being nothing, could end up being something big.
On one particular day, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore collapsed hours before our newscast. Reporter Jeremy Pierre is in-house that day, monitoring live feeds, the latest information, and getting information from Tennessee and Arkansas's Department of Transportation.
Right now, this is a live feed from WBAL. I'm getting this from our news source, CNN news source right there, gathering information because this is my story for the day. Hopefully we can give you all some context as to, in comparison to the bridges that we have here in Memphis, the Interstate 55 bridge, as well as the Hernando de Soto bridge. Both of them cross over the Mississippi River.
4:30 is showtime. Good Morning Memphis is on until 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday. 5.5 hours of news, and each hour has a different producer and director.
Stand by. 5, 4,
10,
3,
9,
2,
8, 7.
The director may have the toughest job of all. It's their job to assess the wall of monitors, the audio streams coming in from all over, and punch the right button at the right time. Ron Crawford explains.
Of what you, the viewer, sees while you're sitting at home, all of these buttons will make the determination of how you see what you see at home, from the camera shots to the live shots to the animations to going to commercial and back from commercial. It's never the same. Every day is different. That's my favorite part. That's what keeps me literally coming back every day.
In the studio, we have production assistants moving cameras, running the teleprompter, and keeping us on point. Anchors depend on tablets and computers for script changes and to monitor social media and feeds for new information in a constantly changing environment. And this is just a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes and the many, many people it takes to bring you the news.
So a typical day for me is I get up. I usually go to the gym at 1:15 in the morning, and some of you are probably like, what the heck is she getting up that early in the morning for? But when you have hours like mine, you kind of have no choice, because sometimes when I get off, I'm just too tired to go anywhere. I just go straight home. But I'm usually up by like 1:15, and I'm at work by 3 a.m. And like I said in the video, I talk with our overnight photographer. Our overnight photographer is the only one that is on shift during those overnight hours. He's listening to dispatch scanners. He's going to any crashes, shootings, anything. Now, if something major is going on, Take, for instance, last April, we had an officer-involved shooting. I had just woken up. I got a text message in our group chat of the morning people and said, I think I just heard an officer was shot. I immediately hop out of bed and I start listening to the dispatch scanner on my phone. There's a free app that you can go and listen to dispatch scanners all across the country. And I start listening to try to pinpoint where this was. I figured out where it was. I called Memphis police public information officers, which is who we use to get info from, and I woke one of them up. I was like, hey, you just had 2 officers shot in this precinct. And she's like, okay, I'm getting up. So I make sure that we are in place. So on a day like that, we'll say, for instance, an officer was shot. I will have a crew at the scene. We got to show live pictures of the scene. My job is to make sure that they get there before the 4:30 a.m. newscast. That way we have a live picture up and ready to go. Plus, I send a crew to the major hospital in Memphis, which is called Regional 1, because 9 times out of 10, the Memphis Police Department, when they're going to give info about the shooting that happened, they're going to give a press conference outside of the hospital. And in this instance, an officer was killed. So they had to do it, but they don't tell us until they have told his next of kin. And then I might have another photographer getting another angle of the scene where the actual shooting took place, because there's many parts, and that is my job. I am their point person in the newsroom. So not only am I their point person, but I'm also listening to scanners to see if there's anything else going on. I am digging through our affiliates, Fox, CNN, news stations across the country to see what national news I can pull. I'm checking Facebook pages. You go live on Facebook at a scene, I'm going to find it. Nothing's safe on Facebook from the news people. We will find it, whether you like it or not. That's what I tell people all the time. You got people going live at news at different scenes, and that's how I figure out where they're at. And even there are some police officers and firefighters that will post a video of a scene that they're at, and they think that they're hiding landmarks, and I figure it out. We are the second longest running morning news station in the country. We are on from 4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So that's another part of my job is when I used to just write for the news. I'd write for online and handle social media. But I was promoted in 2022 to what I do now because I'm good at digging for info and I have a lot of sources. I have a lot of contacts. When that officer-involved shooting happened, I got a call from a police officer who was responding to that scene, letting me know, hey, you need to send your people out here. Because people are going to want to know what's going on when there's like 3 or 4 blocks blocked off, especially close to a school, because there was a school right in the vicinity. Another thing that I make sure that gets done is our online done. So I am the direct person for the digital content producers, which they write all of the articles that you see online. They fix the reporters' articles, because you think the reporter articles are nice and pretty when you see them online. They don't come to us that way. We fix them because they don't know proper grammar very well. So pay attention in grammar. Although new journalists use AP style, which is a little different than regular your MLA formats or APA, which is probably what most of you will do in college. But that is the news industry. We know everything before everybody else does. So is there any of you guys have questions? There are things you want to know. There's multiple different. Yes. So most of us have now, there's a wide range of college degrees you can get for this industry. I have a mass communications degree from Wright State, which they call it media studies now. My sister got the exact same degree I did, but she went completely opposite. She works for the Business Bureau of Dayton, to where I worked for the news. There are people that have journalism degrees, creative writing degrees, English degrees, and you only need a bachelor's for our industry, but you have to have a degree in order to get a job at a news station usually. Production assistants, they're a little bit more lenient, but there's not much that goes into them knowing about the news per se when it comes to production assistants. But if you want to write, You want to be a reporter, anchor, photographer, any of that, you have to have a degree. So some of us do have master's degrees. I got bored during COVID because I couldn't do much, and I had just moved to Memphis like 6 months prior, so I signed up to get my master's degree online. That's how much I like school. I needed something to do besides sit around and watch TV. So, and you guys have, yeah. So, I actually started college to become a nurse, and I am dyslexic, and learning certain things is very hard for me. And I had always kind of been nosy, and I think it's more because my dad's a firefighter paramedic for Riverside. He's actually at the station that's right up the street. We used to siren chase all the time when I was a kid, so I loved seeing that. And up until my second to last semester of college, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And then I took advanced journalism because it was we had to have it in order to graduate. And my professor who worked for Cox Media Group, some of you guys might be too young to know what Cox Media Group is, but it was started here in Dayton by Governor Cox. He used to be a governor of Ohio. It started like 125 years ago. Anyways, my professor had just retired as vice president of digital from the company. And he looked at me and he's like, Emily, you have a knack for this. He's like, you know the right people to talk to, you know the right questions to ask, you know how to get the information, and you figure out where to find it at. And he ended up getting me a part-time job with the Dayton Daily News. So I was a newspaper reporter. I had 6 articles go on the front page of the newspaper, and then most of my other articles got in the local section. But when I worked for the newspaper, I covered Trotwood, Vandalia, Butler Township, sometimes Kettering. I covered the small suburbs that not much goes on in until we had all of those tornadoes Memorial Day in 2019. Of course, all of the cities that I covered were hit the worst, so I was everywhere. But that was only part-time, and I was trying to find full-time, and Memphis actually reached out to me. The news station in Memphis actually used to be part of Cox Media Group, and parts of us was sold, so we're not owned by them anymore, but that's how I got the job there. But I've been there. And Memphis actually reminds me of Dayton. A lot of people ask me why I've been there so long, and honestly, it just, the culture, the city's, revitalizing, a lot of the similar things that are going on here goes on there, and I think that's probably why I've been there for so long. That, and it's a day's drive home. I can still get home relatively easily. It's only 8 hours. So, anybody else have any questions? Or you can ask me about my time at Carroll, other college.
What'd you do at Carroll? Did you do anything like fun at Carroll? You were here? Sports or anything?
So.
Oh, other than like team management.
So I did a wide range of things, actually. I was in a lot of clubs. I was student trainer for football. I did stats for soccer. I videotaped men's basketball. I didn't play any sports, mainly because by the time I got to high school, I was kind of burnt out of of all of that. If I would have played, I probably would have played basketball because I played on Carroll's spirit team in junior high. But my same coach went, and like his daughter was in my class, and he became the freshman coach, and I was like, all right, I'd like a different coach. I'm done. But I did drama club, so I was involved in every production in some way, shape, or form. I was in every musical, and then I usually did like makeup and hair for the fall stuff because I had football and soccer going on at the same time. I was in Revolution. Is that still a thing? Revolution? Still. I was in Revolution. I did service projects. I still helped out at the elementary school. So I was involved from the start of school till like the last month, and then I had nothing usually like the last like month of school.
So
Let's see. Freshman year, we did Little Women, the Broadway musical, because other Mrs. Whites loves that musical. That was her favorite. I was a troll. I had a green face. I do remember that. And a bun on top of my head. I looked crazy. My sophomore year, we actually did 3 productions my sophomore year. We did the fall play, then we did like a winter, we called it a plusical, because we did a Christmas Carol, and in between each scene, there was Christmas carolers, so we called it a plusical because of the Christmas carolers, so I was in that. And then we did Hello Dolly, and Hello Dolly is one of my favorite musicals of all time, so I love Hello Dolly. I was very excited. My junior year, we did Big, like the Tom Hanks movie Big. We did the musical. And then my senior year, we did Grease. And I was the principal. I was the mean one. Everybody thought because I was the principal in that I was going to end up becoming a teacher. And God loved teachers, but if I was a teacher, I'd become like a college professor. That's my ultimate goal. I'd like to get my PhD in higher education to become a college professor. So, but don't fret when you graduate if you don't know exactly what you want to do, because I switched my major 3 times. It took me 7 years to get my bachelor's degree, but I got it. So, any other questions? College questions? I graduated college in 2018, so I still have some type of what college life was like. Yes.
You said you're like you work in Memphis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever go to like the basketball games? Do you see like John Morant?
The Grizzlies? Yeah. I've met John Morant.
You met John Morant?
I've met a good portion of the Grizzlies players.
Have you met Jared Jackson?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we've met. I mean, that's comes par with working in the news industry is you get to meet certain people. I've met Curry. I met LeBron James.
You met LeBron?
Yeah, I met Terrence Howard.
Go crazy.
I don't have a picture of them because that had to do with work from something else, but I do have, I gotta find it. So the Grizzlies, I don't know if you've heard them say, if you watch Grizzly games, you hear them say, "Whoop that trick," because it was a song.
Yeah.
Well, that was from Terrence Howard. And let's see. Terrence Howard came to Memphis last fall. And I don't know if y'all can see that, but I got a picture taken with Terrence Howard. He came to our studio. So we, yeah, I've met quite a few people. So, but that news industry, you can kind of get, I mean, Tim Howard, I was in the same vicinity as Tim Howard, but never got to meet him because he used to be part owner of Memphis 901 FC. So, but you do get to meet quite a few people. Actually, Tyler Perry has studios in Memphis now. They turned an old movie theater complex that's actually 2 blocks from my house into like a studio for him to film things. I've met Drake.
You met Drake? Oh my gosh. I think I need to...
So a lot of people don't realize this, but Drake's dad, so Drake's mom is Canadian. That's why everybody thinks, he's Canadian. His dad's from Memphis. His dad's whole side of the family is in Memphis.
I didn't know that.
So
You have like the biggest Drake and LeBron fan in here.
He's been like, I mean, there's a restaurant. So where our station is right across the street from the University of Memphis. So Memphis's equivalents of like Brown Street with UD, we have the Highland Strip. That's what they call it. And there's a bunch of restaurants and bars there. There's a restaurant there that he loves that he goes there every time he's in town. So he's down the street.
Oh
We've seen him. Yep.
You ever meet Nick Saban?
No. So, but I've been to quite a few Grizzlies games. I actually, Aiden went to a Grizzlies game last year. I took him and a couple other guys that graduated from Carroll. They came and stayed with me for their freshman year of college spring break. They decided to come visit me. So I had 3 teenage boys in my apartment for a week while I was still working, so that was interesting. So any guys have any other questions about Memphis? Even Memphis questions? Sport, yeah, no. Well, if you guys have any other questions, Mrs. White's has my email. You guys feel free to email me if you have any questions about the news industry. It is very interesting. When I did want to start in the news industry, I wanted to be one of those like world reporters. It was in like war zones. My mom kept telling me she would make sure my life insurance was paid up. I decided not to do that. I fit better behind the scenes. I don't want to see this face on TV. I'll leave that to them. That requires me to put on a whole face of makeup, and that's not me. So, all right.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.